Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Jake Turex. This is Jenny Vilgis, Dennis He, and David Burdett. We're here to talk to you about our recommendations for the Latin American Youth Center. Before we were able to give our recommendations, we had to have a firm understanding of your core issues and values and mission statement that you guys want to address. And through our research, we were able to understand that you're really able to go through above and beyond the civic duty to empower individuals who wouldn't be able to necessarily get help otherwise. And you're able to do this through several different strengths, mainly of which we want to focus on is the Positive Youth Development Program, the Promotor Program, which is able to utilize different individuals to be able to help high-risk individuals, and all while able to help 4,000 kids without the DC and Maryland area. With this, however, you are presented with several different challenges, mainly of which is revenue diversification, as 73% of your funds currently come through government grants. And you were able to provide us with a possible avenue to be able to utilize the Positive Youth Development Program to try to diversify these risks. You also do not have a streamlined volunteer service. But given these different issues, we were able to provide you with a plan for ultimately diversifying your revenue through different structures, grant writing and the YES program. Before you're able to do that, you have to have some seed funding initiated. And you're able to do this through different guerrilla marketing techniques and then ultimately fund different fundraisers, such as Cheat to Win. Once you have that initial funding, you're able to implement some of these revenue generators, such as grant writing. And being able to utilize one of your strengths to your advantage, you'll be able to consult this out to other nonprofits. That, coupled with the YES program, which is really just your Positive Youth Development Program rebranded into something that would be able to be profited out to nonprofits. And they'll be able to use the Youth Development Program to their benefit. With this, you're able to see $1.1 million of growth revenue throughout 3 years. Now I'm going to pass it over to Dennis C., and he's going to talk more in depth about the situation.
So, there are many factors currently defining your organization. Most notably, your PYD program, which you have seen great success as you've been reaching out to your local communities. In addition, you have a fantastic data analytics system in place that are helping you making strategic decisions going forward. So, however, there are several factors you must consider going forward. One, most notably, your revenue concentration, your revenue diversification. Currently, 73% of your revenue are coming from government grants. And in order to succeed going forward, you want to mitigate this risk. After factoring all these considerations, we came up with 4 decision criteria and 5 alternatives. The first one being continuing education extension, which we thought would not be an ideal solution because currently a lot of universities are offering similar programs. Therefore, there's a lot of competition. Secondly, customized PYD program is way too expensive for you to execute. Therefore, we recommend an integrated solution that comprises the last 3 alternatives to help you achieve success going forward. Now I hand it to Jenny, who's going to talk about our timeline.
So, to achieve these goals, first you need that initial amount of money to get the ball rolling. You will do that through guerrilla marketing campaigns, which will create awareness and buzz, and then feed directly into a crowd for those fundraising events to get that initial amount of money. The first guerrilla marketing campaign is Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? This is going into high foot traffic areas of DC, around the National Mall, and setting up sort of a pop-up example, having a desk with one of your successful youth in it, challenging people off the street to face this 5th grader. And can you imagine the look on the crowd's faces as they start to gather when this 5th grader is outperforming a young professional? Buzz will be generated, people will take out their smartphones and take videos, and it could go viral. You can then use this as a platform with this buzz to then funnel people into the upcoming fundraising events. The second guerrilla marketing campaign, similarly, outlining 10 empty desks in a high traffic area around the National Mall, challenging people off the street to a simple examination. They're faced with simple questions, they're going through it, they're wondering where the challenge is, and then they reach the final question, which is how can you donate or volunteer your time for this organization? Again, serving as a platform, this buzz and generation, but funneling directly into crowds for the fundraising events, which David will now walk you through.
moving into these fundraising events, we have a goal for your organization, which is to tap into one of the best fundraising opportunities that's out there, compelling to people's competitive nature. And to do that, we're going to start the Cheating for Charity annual basketball drive. And the way that this works is you have a charity, 4 teams, 8 teams, it's able to scale very well, but the hook on it is you can have their best big man not able to rebound from the paint for $300 for that quarter, or their point guard can only dribble with his offhand. So what this does is creates a little bit of a scenario on the court. One, it's a more entertaining product than a bunch of middle-aged people playing basketball normally, and two, it gets the crowd involved and the crowd invested in this game. So with this, in year one, with any of these various options and a $5 gate coming into play, at $15,000 in donations raised. So you have this entry fee, comes out to about $15,000. But to supplement that, our research shows that a very cost-effective fundraiser that you can do moving forward will be the Everyday Heroes bike ride. From what we see, endurance events are the single highest revenue generator for effort put into an event. And what we see out of this is that $5,000 a team is raised through these bike rides on average. Get 20 teams, all of a sudden you've met your fundraising goal to start these enhanced programs. So with this, we begin to move forward into the actual implementation of the plan that we talked about today. You're going to need to hire 2 staff to your development and grant writing department that you have right now, expand it out, train them, and from there, with a little bit of lag time for them to catch up to the standards that your staff already has in place, we can see that we can access a market that you previously are existing only in getting grants. This is an example of the Purple Heart Foundation right now. They spent $10 million last year in professional fundraising services to take in $30 million in revenue just from grants alone. With this inherently is several $million outlaid in services that you could provide in writing grants professionally for hire to get them that money. So moving forward, why your organization? Because you got 71% of your funding last year from $9.2 million in grants. You are necessarily subject matter experts at it, and you outlaid no cost of consulting with other people to do so. So that makes you much more competitive than the people who already exist in this space, who are freelancers who do it for $7,500 and have no previous experience in that space. So with this, we envision your team of 2 grant writers covering an area like Philadelphia from your DC office, identifying grants that need to be filled through Grant Watch, and then targeting organizations for this fee. And in year one, if they fill 26 grants, they'll generate $290,000 of revenue with that one team. Year 2, you can expand to the New York area. And in year 3, cover Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, for an additional market right there. All of this in total will net you almost $1 million revenue and $870,000 after salaries to your bottom line to use in programs as you see fit. And with that, Jenny will kick off the second leg of our implementation.
Right. The second leg is this rebranded YES program. So currently, nationally, there are nearly 37,000 organizations focusing on youth development alone. You currently already are tapped into this market of this positive youth development programming. You have internal expertise in this that you can share out with others. And so then what you can do is roll out a 3-tier kind of freemium service, which looks like this. So the first base layer being the free offering that you provide. You put it up on your website. It's a basic standard curriculum of positive youth development like you can find elsewhere on the internet. By having this hosted on your site, it adds to the clout of your subject matter expertise. You offer it out to anyone who is willing to look at it. And then for organizations interested in something above and beyond that for their needs, you offer the YES Plus, which adds some additional customization to that material. For $1,000, their staff and their organization can become certified in this YES program. And then additionally, for those organizations who are interested, a premium model, which offers additional customization on top of that, working with them to do the efforts to outcome software and other things that you are competent in, you can offer to them as well. With this, in 3 years, you can see $270,000 additional revenue coming in from this alone, which then you can use these funds to create that volunteer infrastructure. You can hire a staff member for recruitment and retention and set up the necessary infrastructure to have that long-term relationship with your volunteers moving forward to develop those high-quality service programs for these youth. And now I'm going to pass it over to Jake to wrap things up.
With these 2 arms of consulting that you run out, you're able to ultimately see additional fundraising through different sources and uses, providing that initial seed funding. It's an easy implementation going forward. Through this, you're able to see additional growth of $1.1 million in year 3, which significantly reduces your overall need for government funding and ultimately diversifies your revenue.
Thank you, Team 4.4. We'll now transition to our Q&A session.
So I have a question about the grant writing. So if what you're marketing is your very specific knowledge for getting this type of grant you've been getting before, is there a conflict of interest where you're now competing for these grants yourself as well as selling your services to other organizations that are going to be competing for those same grants?
That's a fantastic question. And when we evaluated that exact idea, it was, we don't want to do this in the DC market. That's why we targeted Philadelphia. You're necessarily competing for regional grants right now. So we want you to just target a new area. You've reached kind of an asymptote with what you're able to get in this market and help other people in another market access those funds.
Does that reduce our marketability if we haven't shown expertise in winning grants from those local foundations in Philadelphia?
From our research, the transferable skill is the type of grant that you're filling out. And since you're a youth development organization, Philadelphia is a high youth development need area.
Could you speak to how you included competitor analysis in your decision criteria for the various options that you were presenting to LIYC?
Could you elaborate on that?
So the 4 criteria that you identify in your decision criteria are ease of implementation, revenue generation, funding diversification, and expansion potential. Can you speak to the extent to which you believe that LIYC is differentiated significantly to perform this function and generate revenue as opposed to going to another organization? Is there another organization in DC that writes grants or is engaged in these kind of activities?
Yes, so in our research, we found that the majority of people sort of offering services like this, sort of grant writing services, there is a majority of sort of freelance writers that are just tapping into this opportunity, utilizing their skills in competent writing and analyzing the market to just become grant writers. While there are other organizations, types of consulting who will offer these services, again, we believe that piece of the pie that you're already getting, that 9.2 million, really serves as kind of a resume in that that's how much money you've been able to successfully bring in from grants, and that is one of the differentiating factors which would sort of add to that clout.
So you guys have like a tiered system for the Transform PYD program essentially. Now, have you guys come up with any way to test the success for that? Or, like what is there to stop any of your quote-unquote clients to just get with the standard program, use the free model, and never really move beyond the free model?
Yes. Can you pull up okay. So as Jenny previously mentioned, there's currently about 37,000 nonprofit youth organizations nationally. So we're thinking, for our assumptions, we're assuming for the freemium, everyone gets to try it. And we're only using a very conservative estimation of 0.25 conversion rate into the second tier. And through that, we only have 0.033% conversion rate to the third stage. Therefore, our estimations are very conservative, and we are confident you will be able to achieve this goal. In addition, we're not just offering a stable content every year. We're utilizing costs to upgrade your content, therefore driving returns from your previous customers.
Is it conservative to assume that you can get every single youth organization to try the free one? Like, doesn't that rely on you getting the free version to every single youth organization in America?
Yeah, yes. So basically your free is available to everyone through your website. Anyone can access it. So it's public content. There's no hindrance from an organization accessing your content. And especially we're doing a conservative assumptions of only 0.25% of that around 37,000 organizations will convert to tier 2, which comes out to be about 92 clients.
But you're assuming that 100% of them will get to stage 1 or tier 1.
Yes.
Does that seem realistic?
Because in a freemium model, anyone can access the content. We don't see a hindrance or obstacle for them not accessing content, so we decided it's feasible.
How would you draw people to it, aside from the guerrilla marketing campaign?
So I think David suits better to answer that question.
Actually, I believe Jenny, you handled the social media. Yeah.
Sure, do you want to pull up that slide? So there's a variety of tactics and techniques which you could utilize. The first of which, again, I mentioned outlining this kind of this basic curriculum on your native website, and that will give you the opportunity to harness the power of organic search engine optimization. That is, people who are doing Google searches and looking for this content, naturally your results will pop up higher if you have those relevant keywords and offering that sort of content. Additionally, you can use your, if you want to get is it the first and the second social media? Twitter analysis. Using your successful Twitter platform to engage with these organizations who may be interested. You can see that you have a very positive sort of Twitter presence, both in positive messaging and engagement across different users, which those networks and connections really drive the success of campaigns like that. And you may reach, in theory, you may reach also additional people within these 37,000 organizations. So, you know, it may be 2 from one organization and only 1 from another. So there may be some sort of double counting in that 2 people in different departments may not know that they've accessed the same free model. So through inbound marketing and social media, there are a variety of tactics that you can harness there to generate this content desired.
Now, the grants that you're pursuing, I'm assuming these are foundation grants, not government grants?
Actually, sir, we'd like to target both.
Both?
Yes, sir.
I need some help here because my math is a little slow this morning. Looking at the slide, it doesn't have slide number, on page 17 of ours. Mm-hmm. The grant revenue that's coming in is up, I mean, in terms of dollar magnitude, is higher than the yes revenue. And I'm wondering how that is actually reducing the dependence in government funding, reducing it from 71% to 63%, when your grant revenue is outpacing from dollar to dollar against the yes revenue.
Yes, sir. So the revenue we see coming in from that grant writing will be the fee that these organizations necessarily pay professional services to write their grants. So we're not going to take the grant, but up front we're doing a grant writing consultation, and the average runs from like $7,500, and we're going to take that cost through the 26 grants that we write for them.
So in essence, that is an additional revenue stream that you're targeting.
Right, and so in our slide, that consulting breakout right there will be that new revenue stream of the $7,500 per consult.
Okay.
I don't mean to harp, but I just keep coming back onto this idea of the 100% penetration. Like, can you guys name a single free product that has achieved 100% penetration?
So actually, inherent in this model at 0.25%, we looked at what the average conversion rate was on one of these items, and it hovers between 3 and 5% is the ideal, according to the free Harvard Business Review peer-reviewed sources out there. So to account for that, we lowered it down to 0.25%. We know we're not going to access the entire market, so we only want 0.25%, rather than trying to give an estimation of how many people are going to come find us in year 1. We're saying we're going to take that number and ratchet it way down below where it would be to give you a conservative estimate of where it could be before we even begin targeting.
So looking at the funding breakdown from the past, individual donations are a pretty small part of it, which seems like there isn't a very actively engaged donor base. How are you then going to drum up a donor base to really get people to show up at these marketing events? Because they seem like kind of high-risk events.
So speaking just the cheating for charity basketball game, the great thing about that is you have to get somebody to lend you a gym and then provide you a basketball. And then your volunteers can staff that as you see fit, maybe have one person running it. So your inherent risks there are very minimal. You literally have to pay for a basketball and find somebody who will give you a gym. And after that, we feel that the guerrilla marketing campaigns that Jenny outlined will generate that hype to put a couple hundred people in the stands. Maybe get on YouTube, get your Facebook page shared a couple more times, bring in a couple dozen people that normally wouldn't be there.
Can you put me to your costs for the marketing and fundraising campaigns? How you price things out for the organization?
Yeah, it should be our sources and uses.
Sources and uses.
Sorry, not this slide. Go up to right before. Go up 7. One more. Yeah. All right. So the cost we outlaid for this, we figured the desks that we would need for this guerrilla marketing campaign.
And that will conclude our 10-minute question and answer session. So we'll now transition into the 5-minute closing remarks and conclusion.
Fantastic.
So to begin our conclusion, I want to first address what seems like the most top of mind concern for you, which is that 100% number that we sort of display to you. I want to just clarify that in that. So rather than saying that one person from all 37,000 organizations will access, and that is a 0.25% conversion rate, assuring you that our analysis in this was rather than taking a subsegment of that 37,000 and then applying a 1 to 3% conversion, we basically added in that percentage into the initial conversion rate. And again, layering on the point that I mentioned earlier in that it's not necessarily assuming one person from all 37,000, it's that with 37,000 organizations on average, again, you may have 5 people from one large organization accessing this and sharing it out, and then one from a smaller organization. So just wanted to clarify that a couple of different ways that we had analyzed it in case that had given any concern for you. And now Jake will wrap up our presentation.
With our final conclusion, you presented several strengths on which we really wanted to harp on that you guys are doing extremely well. Mainly which is the PYD program, the Positive Youth Development Program, which we would like to rebrand as YES. And this will be able to go forward, and as Jenny just mentioned, people will be able to access it directly through your website. And through getting people slowly over time, even hitting a small proportion of the overall 37, just short of 37,000 organizations, being able to draw in people through that, it's an easy revenue source for you all to really take advantage of something that you are doing well through this youth development program. And through this, you're also able to address revenue diversification. Right here, going through your best practice replication unit, developing these 2 arms, are able to go through and help diversify. And as we mentioned earlier, reducing your overall government needs and proportion from 73% down to 61% with that $1.1 million that would be allocated. And that is assuming on that 0.25% of the overall market is reaching it just on a free basis from those 36,900 different organizations. With this, first you need the seed funding. And through these different aggressive marketing campaigns, such as Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, and fundraising such as Cheat for Charity, fun activities that are able to really drive in attention and revenue for you to be able to implement these programs, would be able to initially get the seed funds for grant writing, be able to offer your strong services to other people, and ultimately utilize your YES program, something that you are doing extremely well at this point. All this really ties to still your main values. And this is what really matters, is coming through and sourcing toward the kids, being able to provide a need for these high-risk individuals, people who have difficulties getting through school, being able to keep in touch with them and really help derive some value towards them with kids that need more attention than anyone else is what really matters. Thank you for your time.